Well, hey again, everyone. I guess I'm kind of on a roll today, having fun with the YouTube. So, let's talk about Bradford pears. Everyone's favorite tree to hate. What is a Bradford pear? The Bradford pear is Pyrus caloriana. It's native to China. It was brought to the United States in the early 1900s, 1907, I believe, to be used as a rootstock for some of our edible pear varieties. And that's not a bad idea because it is tough, it's resistant, it doesn't get the problems, it doesn't mind bad soil. It was a good choice. And then they discovered that it's also kind of ornamental, so the variety Bradford came about. Bradford was widely planted across the United States. It's easy to propagate. It grows quickly. It blooms in 3 years. Makes a lovely round lollipop street tree. And that's all fine and dandy until the wind blows, or the ice comes, or anything else happens. Because it's not a tree, it's a shrub. That's right. That's why its branching is so terrible. If you'll look at a Bradford pear, the branches have these narrow crotch angles, narrow crotch, that allows for rot in there. It also doesn't seal up nicely where the bark doesn't grow back together. So you get this gap in the structure of the tree. And so any kind of force, ice, wind, whatever, just snaps it wide open. And you've seen them just popped open wide, usually in full bloom, full of leaves, looking gorgeous, and then just a pile of trash in your yard. Bradford pears weren't much of a problem when they first came out because they were all Bradford pears, all genetically the same. And as with a lot of things in the rose family, like apples, pears, so forth, you need two different genetic individuals to get viable seeds. Well, when they were all the same genetic plant, the same clone, Bradford, you didn't have seeds. It wasn't a problem. Well, then our wonderful scientists decided to improve them, so they brought out varieties like Cleveland Select, Chanticleer, Capital, White House, and dozens more. And all this did was add to the genetic diversity of these native Chinese pears in our landscape. All of a sudden, we were getting these little hard pears, not edible. The seeds have cyanide in them. The only thing that likes them are birds, and all birds do are spread the seeds with their droppings. So we have this flush of Bradfords. Look around some neighborhoods that were planted in the 60s, 70s, 80s with Bradfords everywhere. And look in the fields around those neighborhoods. They're full of pears too. And that wouldn't be a problem except because of the way they grow, they can outcompete our native trees. They leaf out earlier in the spring and they hold their leaves later in the fall. And granted, they have beautiful fall color, but that helps them outcompete the natives. And a couple generations away from our nice little lollipop Bradford pear tree, and they're back to calorie pears, which have thorns, big spines, will rip you. They'll pop holes in your tires. They're bad. So now we have this invasive species that we have spread across the whole of the country, and they are everywhere. As a matter of fact, now they are banned in Ohio, and two more states are getting ready to ban their propagation because they have become such a noxious weed in our landscape. So, what do you do if you have a Bradford? Hack it up, get rid of it, or just cut it way, way, way back. It's a shrub, remember. If you can cut it back and get rid of some of those weak branches and not let the canopy of the tree get too large, it can handle the storms, it can handle the wind, it can handle the ice. But you have to do it every 4 or 5 years. And by cut it back, I mean cut it back to big stems. It'll come back, it'll be fine. And this tends to knock the tree back into juvenility so it doesn't bloom. Granted, the flowers are beautiful. They warm my heart in the spring when they first come out, but they stink. And they make me sneeze. So, Bradfords, bad idea. If you have them, make the most of it. They're the only tree I have in my backyard, and I don't plan on cutting it down. But I do prune it harshly just to keep it from making the flowers and from keeping it from getting too large. If you're thinking about planting a Bradford, don't. They're trash trees. They shouldn't even be in cultivation. Cities all around the country are banning them. Norman, Oklahoma, here in central Oklahoma, doesn't allow them to be planted anymore in commercial landscapes. Homeowners can still do it, and you can still pick them up at all your favorite big box garden centers like they're really a valuable plant. Bradford pears. They were a good idea at the time, but it didn't really work out long term. So, love them, hate them. I used to love them. Now I hate them. Bradford pears. Don't do it. Keep watching. I'm on a roll today. Thanks.